Good evening, Free Enterprise fans. We are here tonight with a little bit of a special event. We are here to record the Community RPG Limit Break submission tonight. Our commentators tonight, I am Demerin 2, and I am joined by Rivers McCown. How are you doing tonight, Rivers?
Well, not bad, I guess. This is going to be an interesting change from the AGDQ race because we have the V1 flag on, so our runners will have to find both the Legend Sword and the Adamant item to successfully create the crystal, or forge it, as it is known in our flag set.
Yeah, it'll be neat to see because it does greatly increase the chance of runners needing to clear much more of the content and have to go much deeper into the game because you need 2 items instead of 1, along with Moon Access, to finish up the.
So for those of you who have never seen Free Enterprise at all, assuming we're making this submission for other people, basically what Free Enterprise does is it takes a regular game of Final Fantasy IV and it shuffles around the characters, the bosses, the items, the chests, the shops, a couple other things too might pop up. You might see a weird twin harp song or something like that, a weird Zeromus sprite or something like that, and so this is basically just a game that delinearizes FF4, and your main goal as a runner here is to find the crystal, in this case the Legend Sword and the Adamant item, to defeat Zeromus and to turn him into something you can defeat, as well as find a path to the moon via the Darkness Crystal or the Pass. Runners come out of the gate here with Palom and Sid. This is a very nice combo, and the Magma Key. So Magma Key will mean they have open access to the underworld very early. This is kind of a dream starting team, actually, given the fact that sirens are available. Easy grinding is available, so Palom can learn Quake real quick. And Sid is going to be a tank anyway, so lots to look forward to for this seed as far as ease. I'm kind of concerned that Scala rolled this. I wonder what evil lies for our poor runners.
Yeah, and looks like our poor runners are off, and they're splitting off in a couple of different directions here. Invenerable being the only one to ignore Baron and cut north for Damsian, while the rest of our runners are going in to loot Baron for the over 10 treasures in the location and to get some extra information as well.
And we see the Mist Dragon in Baron Inn immediately, so that's even more value to be had. And Venerable, of course, taking the correct path, so no blame for him, but this is starting out very well for everybody who checked Baron first. They know immediately that they get another free key item should they beat that boss.
Yeah, for those who are unaware, the normal locations for key items are usually the 17 plot locations within the game itself. Be it, say, clearing out Baron in there, going up down to the bottom of Antlion Cave, and so on. If you know the plot of Final Fantasy IV, you know where all those items are. These flags also will mix in the locations where the summoned monsters are located, so the Sylphs in Sylph Cave, the bosses in Land of Summoned Monsters, Bahamut on the moon, as well as the bosses within the lunar subterrane as well. So options will abound for them, but one of the items that was added in, because one of the plot locations is Edward's bed in Troya, was that we've shut off Edward's bed and instead locked that key item behind the Mist Dragon.
That's right, and you're seeing our runners kind of cross some paths that they would normally take. At the very beginning of this game, actually, your main goal to start with is to get enough money via these treasure chests to actually check the shops, buy some of the JP items you may not be familiar with. So there's like Kamikaze that Swimmy just saw on the screen. I think I saw some hourglasses on somebody else's screen. And these can generally help survivability and kind of create some kind of interesting boss kills if our runners know what they're doing. And we hope they do, considering these are 4 of the top 9 from Highway to the Zima Zone League.
Yeah, all 4 of these runners are top-tier runners for sure, and they've all been keeping really sharp. So, it'll be really good to see what they do. We have 2 runners breaking open the underground. Whether they're going there is another story, as Scratch Dragon and Swimmy Leone have decided to discard their Magma Keys down the well of Agart. And Scratch will be the first one to see the underground, while Invenerable takes the more common path of heading down to Antlion.
So Penguin has found sirens in Kaipo. Sirens are an item that's JP only that actually will force the rarest encounter in any given tile set. And because Penguin has found this, he now knows that he can grind Palamute Quake very quickly via these dragon eggs in the underworld that something you would not normally see in a speedrun of this game, but sirens are in the normal game normally, so...
Alright, and it looks like Invenerable has found a general and 2 fighters, but Rivers, why is this not exactly the greatest thing to see?
Yeah, the Fabul fight is actually one of the slowest fights that you can run into just because it takes so long to do all this. However, Invenerable employing a very good strategy here with the Earth Hammer. Most people do not know that if you item cast this, it will cast a very small quake, and he should be able to take this out in minimal time.
Yeah, as fast as Sid can queue up actions, he is just cruising through these encounters, which is great.
Got Swimmy checking some extra chests in Troya. We got Penguin checking some extra chests in actual Troya, and the shops here, of course. And Scratch Dragon is about to figure out who is down here in the underworld. He's our lone runner, kind of racing and rushing the underworld here.
Yeah, again, our runners are trying to get some economy going here, which is why it looks like Swimmy is checking those extra chests, as well as Penguin checking the extra chest in Troya. Not always the most common of checks, but still very useful.
So it looks like we had an antline at the Ashura spot, which is actually pretty rough, and either Mylon or Mylon Z at the Odin spot, which can be kind of doable. Probably not the party you want to do it with just yet, though, for Scratch Dragon.
Yep, Invenerable adding on the Baron key to his key ring here, as he is now 2 keys deep into this.
Yeah, the Baron key is a really nice item to find early on because it opens up 2 key item locations instead of just 1 in this flag set, given that Odin is just hanging out down there.
Yeah, but like spoken about earlier, since the locations, they actually do parallel the plot of the game. So Antline Cave, fairly straightforward, usually very easy. The Odin spot, of course, being an optional late-game boss from the vanilla game, is a surefire way to get yourself probably wrecked right now with this party and this low of a health total.
So Scratch Dragon found the hook there, so our runners will have easy access to both things that will get them in the underworld very early in this seed. The hook can also be used to turn in the rat tail and the pink tail, which will give you an adamant armor, which is something you would not normally see in this game, but is very overpowered, very nice to have if he happens to stumble upon a pink tail.
Right, Swimmy's travels have brought him to Kaipo, where he finds those life potions and sirens, and he's going to buy them up. And Penguinator is showing us what you do when you find these eggs, which is there's a spot in the underworld where you can find this encounter, which you'd never run into in the vanilla game. And he is going to take them, going to kill them off with these coffins, and get a ton of levels really quick.
So Yang was training on the mountain and was actually fighting our Kipo, Rydia here, the pink-haired one, next to Skawa's wonderful Fab Flag. Very easy fight, actually, here, and Invenerable is going to get Rydia in the party. I believe it looks like long-term, if I'm reading that name correctly. There's an incentive in this run that you can donate for, where one of our characters has to stay in the party for the entirety of the run.
Yeah, if you're feeling generous, it could be a very, very good character, or if you're feeling mean, you could make our runners keep Edward or Tella all the way to the end, and that's not always a joy.
Pick Porum. Nobody likes Porum.
Porum is certainly the more maligned of the 2 white mages, but, you know, she's fine.
Pick Porum, though. Anyway, Scratch Dragon, our first to get to Fabul. He's going to take advantage of checking the Sylph Cave early and pick up 2 key item locations here on this one trip. And of course, he's got 14 vampires, so this evil wall that would normally be a little bit scary is actually pretty simple fight. You're just going to spam this J item and get it done.
Yeah, the vampire casts a very high-powered copy of Drain, so you can see it's ripping out about 500 to 600 hit points per action. which means that this should go fairly swiftly. The evil wall is countering with gradual petrify, so if you get hit by too many of those, you do get turned to stone, which can be bad, but 3 vampires and a hammer swing, and the wall is broken down.
All right, so Inven's finally going to be our last runner to the underworld, looks like here. Now we're going to see if Scratch Dragon's strategy paid off at all. Skipping Antlion early. A free adamant armor from the King of Fabul. That will make this seed pretty simple for these folks. Adamanting up Palom is one of the best early game things you can have going on, given the Quake and giving that speed to him. So this should be a pretty fast seed, it looks like.
Yeah, and the rat tail, because Scratch Dragon already has the hook from the underground we mentioned, that he's going to be able to turn that in as well, so he's probably going to chase this chain down the rest of the way now. And keep getting more information about what's going on in the world. Penguinator also snagged the hook from the free chest there, but nobody's checked whether that boss was Mylan or Mylanzy in the underground yet in the Land of Summon Monsters.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised. That's something that I would normally do, but hey, I'm not these runners, and obviously they got their own strategies going on here. Swimmy and Penguin both have leveled up already, whereas Scratch and Enven haven't bothered yet, outside of Enven taking out regular bosses in the course of the run. I'm very curious to see who's going to be the first one to head back to Baron and take out that Mist Dragon, though.
Yeah, it's a very lucrative spot. The character's nice and all. I mean, Porum's not great, but she is a white mage. It's an additional character to add to your. Sometimes it's just nice to have somebody who could just stand there and take a hit for you, if nothing else.
And that's one thing Porum can certainly do, is take those hits. All right, we got some runners just kind of stepping over each other now, except for Penguin going to Dwarf Castle. Going to be a very ambitious check if he does Dwarf Castle right now without that adamant armor, but you can just check the items in the shop here.
Runs across, looks like Bacchus wines in the shop.
So Bacchus wines are one of the best items that you can find in this run because they automatically cast Berserk. If you've never played FF4 US or FF2 US, FF4 JP, the Bacchus wine automatically casts that status, and that status is very broken, very good to have. Your attack increases by 1.5x, and you become very, very fast. So it's really, really good for this kind of race environment.
Yep, Invenerable also decides to look at the 2 bosses in Land of Summon Monsters and decides to say, no, I'm good. So we still don't know what that boss is in the left spot there, in the Leviathan spot in the Underworld.
Yep, and all of our runners getting Iridia, but not necessarily doing that, their optional Hob summon here. I wonder if that'll come back to bite them, but probably not. It is a little bit of a time investment.
Yep, it's an 030 edition that lets Rydia get access to a summon a little bit earlier than normal, since normally all of her major abilities, level 2 spells, better summons, are gated behind either rare items or the event at Dwarf Castle. She normally is pretty weak in the early game and takes a long time to get even just Virus, which is a powerful non-elemental spell. So that's just sort of a way to kind of equalize her a little bit.
So you see Penguinator found in Mysidia the Star Veils. Those are another JP item that makes a big difference as far as boss strategy. A lot of the bosses that are actually very tough in this run can be kind of neutered a bit via putting up a wall. And, like Golbez, like Wyvern for Mega Nuke, stuff like that. And it actually is a very big strategic find early on for Penguin. Looks like everybody's kind of covering ground we've already seen right now. So let's throw it over for some donations. I got this donation from Mr. Ubik. It says, you must make sure that the players have to keep Porum. Well, I mean, nothing I can do right now, but I'll pass it on.
I mean, I can't argue with Porum at this point in time, but Swimmy is going to climb up Mount Hobbs as our runners again. They're still treading ground that they've all been on at this point. So he's going to find Rydia and have to keep her forever.
So I want to say, I want to showcase here what Scratch Dragon's doing and kind of point out at a very high level what Free Enterprise is about is kind of optimizing your time saves. And so, Invenerable went in here, he had the Earth Hammer, he automatically went to that. Scratch Dragon having a little bit more problem here. It's taking a little bit more time to get through his menus because Palm pops up first. And he's casting Fire 2 instead of just doing the Earth Hammer stuff. So Invenerable probably gaining like 10, 15 seconds here.
Yeah, one of the rare negatives of equipping the Adamant Armor on the kid right now, because the extra 15 agility you get from it is basically going to assure that he's going first. Although, as we see, Penguinator and Invenerable high-fiving with Adamant Armor at this point, and a Samurai Bow, which is the second best bow in the game, so I'm sure both of them are pretty happy now.
Yeah, definitely nothing wrong with having a Samurai Bow this early, especially when it comes to putting the back row glitch on Sid. That would be very important. Back row glitch basically meaning if you put a back row weapon item combo on somebody and then take them off, they have the back row status forever. Meaning that you can attack from the back row, do full damage, attack enemies in the back row, do full damage. And it's very handy for survivability early on. Not necessarily something you really need in this run, given the adamant, but still very good to have.
Yeah, and a lot of these things that these runners will be doing, like, the back row glitch, are not really, needed casually per se, but again, when you're trying to get through difficult bosses and really kind of optimize your damage output or survivability, things like that can go a very long way.
It looks like Invenerable is going to be our first runner to hook over with this rat tail and actually see what it is, unless I missed that. So that should be some new progress for us. A lot of our runners now finally clearing out that Alien Cave, getting their Baron keys.
Yeah, so the rat tail is one of the key items that requires a different key item to turn in. This is normally where you get the adamant stone, and instead this time we're going to get the pass.
Oh boy, so let's talk about the pass, Damarin. The pass as a key item basically allows you to go directly to Zeromus from the Troya shop. It used to be kind of hooked up to this bar. You had like a little dancing scene. It was kind of awkward. But, it felt like something that was kind of left on the table from the JP version. And with the pass now, you can go directly to Zeromus. So it doesn't really change a whole lot in this format, only because we still have 2 key items to get to go to go mode. But routing-wise, you could see our runners play more on the overworld because they have that pass.
Yeah, the interesting thing, though, is that with Forge the Crystal, one of the things is that the location you have to go to Forge the Crystal is in the underground. It's Kokol's shop. I mean, our runners don't have a problem with underworld access having started with the Magna Key, but sometimes that can be a consideration in a seed like this as well. As Invenerable's treading new ground, but I don't think he's treading the new ground that we expected him.
Yeah, Ordeals is kind of an interesting play at this point. Not something that you would see every runner do, but finding guards here, he's got an Hourglass. They'll probably get cheesed pretty quickly. Hourglass will actually stop enemies, and because it's an item and this game is coded very well, it actually lasts a long time, even on kind of these rando enemies. And yeah, you're going to see after those first 2 attacks, these guards are probably just going to sit there and get whooped.
Yeah, even Rydia is chipping in with a bow right now, so they go down very swiftly. I mean, you don't necessarily want to attack them without them being stopped if you can help it, because they counter with size if you're physically attacking, or Piggy if you're casting magic, which locks you out of those commands, basically.
All right, are we going to see Scratch make the play for Baron in here? That would be an interesting start. Now, who do we got here? Ogopogo back attack. This actually could be a little bit difficult. So Ogopogo has a very mean script where you want to attack him only with regular attacks. Basically, you don't want spells at all. He'll counter them. Pretty mean boss here. Does a lot of damage, but he's got Ashura, and is he going to get bailed out here by Ashura? That is awesome.
I mean, not this time. It looks like he hit the 33% chance to cast life. So Asura is a bit of a gamble in that sometimes it works great. It'll heal your party for mammoth amounts of health. 1 out of 3 times it'll cast life 1 on everybody, which doesn't even res your dead party members. It's pretty broken.
All right, I think Invenerable will probably have just enough to finish this fight. It's going to be very tight, though. He really needs this Lit 2 to kill. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, clutched it out. Very nice.
Yeah,
that's a pro fight there.
Yeah, big use of the bluff command on Palom, one of the Japanese commands that you don't see in the US version of this game, which increases Palom's spell power every time you use it for the next spell he casts. So he was able to get a Lightning 2 off for near 1,600 damage there, which is, just right around half the health at that spot, which is pretty impressive.
So Scratch Dragon actually did start this Baron N sequence. He's got Mom Bomb first, or behind the Mist Dragon, I'm sorry. Finishes that off, so he's going to get a chance to get 2 key items here, as well as have the pleasure of having Porum in his party, which, debatable. Finds a Dragoon Lance, not exactly what he wanted, but if they do happen to find Kane, that'll help leveling a lot. And looks like Invenerable found the Twin Harp on top of Ordeals, so we may get that Muzak.
Yeah, music is one of the things the fans love the most, without a doubt. It's also just one of the nicest things within the randomizer itself, because, it's just nice to hear a callback, because, if you play this randomizer, it's likely you've played other RPGs. Favorite.
Everything is fine. Everything is just fine.
Oh, I was worried that was me.
All right, so Scratch Dragon is making the Baron key play immediately. He'll be our first runner to do that. And kind of when you're watching these races, it basically you're trying to see, once we've got the lay of the land, who's going to do something new. And that's going to be kind of where our commentary eyes are following, while everybody else is catching up, is doing the things that we've already seen on stream. So we've got Scratch Dragon making this play for Baron Key. Gonna have a character in the Baron Castle where Sid normally would be. So that's probably an incentive for him at this point, given party composition isn't that great. And of course, you get a key item once you defeat the King of Baron, whoever that may be today.
Yep, normally within the plot of the game, this is where you get the airship, but since you have it from the beginning, it's been hacked in that instead you get a key item out of a pot at the bottom of the stairwell instead.
So we've got Odin here in Baron Castle, a little bit earlier than usual. Odin as a boss, good night, Porum. Odin as a boss is actually very susceptible to lightning. If you have Lit 2 spell like Palom does here, does a lot of damage, as you're about to see. And yeah, that was pretty quick. Odin in the early slots, early kind of boss slots, because we're scaling HP, is actually very vulnerable to a lot of what you have at this point in the game.
Yeah, in harder spots, Odin is a massive DPS race, as Odin will raise the sword and then lay it into you, and in a lot of locations, it's going to be an instant kill and then.
And the King of Baron today is Valvolus. Uh-oh. This could be interesting.
Don't you mean the Queen? Don't you mean the Queen of Baron?
She can be whatever she wants to be, honey. Anyway, Valvolus coming here is actually a very tough fight. It's something where when she raises her shields, you're not really going to get a lot of damage up because her magic defense skyrockets.
Yeah, as you can see for Scratch Dragon the Vampire, not going through. Virus casts from Palom, not going through. The only thing that might work here is swinging away with Sid, because you can sometimes get away with hitting physically, but I think Scratch has had enough of that.
Yeah, Scratch bailed out of that fight. Can't blame him there. It's very tough given the party comp he has. The only way he can really do it right now is if he had the admin armor on Sid and kind of, waited it out, so to speak. And the value for Bistraken turns out to be the ninja shirt. Oh, baby. Just what all our runners will want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're going to get a free key item, let it be a piece of armor that a character in my party that's not in my party is the only character that can equip it. The ninja shirt is a great piece of armor for Edge, but that doesn't do our runners any good right now.
Yeah, and given that Edge will be harder to find on these flags, it will actually be fairly likely that they'll wind up just selling the ninja shirt before they ever see Edge. Defensive armor in this game tends to be the first thing that gets sold.
Yeah, you get enough of it on the T3 flag. It tends to be, much more common to get good mid-range armor, and that's usually all you need to get through most challenges. I mean, you've got one piece of adamant armor, so you're generally good shape right now.
So Valvolus hanging out in Baron Castle is actually going to be a block for our runners for a little bit, I'm sure. I don't think you'll see anybody who attempts that fight go back there unless they have Bacchus, Sid, and some Cure 2s maybe. So I guess kind of to look over what's left on the layout, and Venerable can do the Twin Harp. He's the only person who has picked up that key item off of Ordeals. The Dwarf Castle, I think, has been untouched so far, as well as the top of the Tower of Babel, which has one boss and one key item.
Yeah, and of course our runners want no part of Antlion down below in Land of Summon Monsters, and we still don't know if it's Myelin or Myelin Z. Myelin, probably doable. Myelin Z will probably eat the party alive, so, that's sort of a risk to take the time to go back down there at this point.
Yeah, if they were able to Siren up and get Porum to blink, they might have a chance at that fight. Myelin Z has a lot of elemental resistances you kind of want to take advantage of. But otherwise, yeah, it's going to be a real struggle.
Yeah, when we talk about elemental resistances, they're really important in Final Fantasy IV, because most of the time in most games, it's, you think about double damage from elemental weaknesses. In Final Fantasy IV, it's a 4 times multiplier, so you can hit really hard if you know the elemental weaknesses of your targets.
Yeah, elemental weaknesses and also racial weaknesses, like dragons will take 4 times damage from the Dragon Whip. What's another good one? All the robots in this game will take 4 times damage from Sid's hammers. So that's another one keep an eye on, given kind of our party setup at this point. So both Invenerable and Scratch Dragon winding up in Dwarf Castle here. Invenerable not knowing it yet, but he really wants those Bacchus wines given his party composition. And that will be the one chance our runners have to take out Valvolus here and at Baron Throne. And the officer-soldier fight here is actually very free, something our runners are probably very happy to see. Not a hard fight, and the soldiers actually will be pretty low accuracy at this point.
Yeah, it looks like Scratch Dragon went with the lock it down with an hourglass strategy as well, so just going to go ahead and burn through the one at this point in time. And we'll be rewarded with Rydia's level 2 spells and more advanced summons after this, which will be nice for the second boss, which is usually the easier of the two in this location.
Usually, yeah. Not always. I guess one thing to point out here also with the Hourglass stuff is this is kind of a fight where ideally you wouldn't want Hourglass just because the officer can run away on his own, and that's actually usually faster, very helpful. You can see Scratch Dragon here taking multiple minutes to try to beat this thing up because it's stopped and he can't really do anything about it. Invenerable kind of fell into that trap as well, though his party is more advanced, he could do more damage, so he does have that going for him.
Yeah, the major thing is that I know that there are coffins out in the world. I don't remember where they were, But Coffin's an item that just casts death magic. It casts fatal is the term that they use in this game, but it instantly kills a target that's a non-boss. And of course you can stop these because they're technically not bosses. So instead he just zerks up Sid and decides to just let him just hammer away for him.
So Penguin actually has a Bacchus wine, does have lid in this case in the middle, so he'll have the best accuracy. He does have a shot to take Valvolus down. I don't know if he's back rogue witch or not, though, so we'll see here. He's always going to give it a go. Swimmy fighting the same thing right now. And Golbez in a vanilla spot. That'll be $10, them.
Yeah, basically.
So this is actually not a bad spot to fight Golbez. If you're unfamiliar with this fight in the vanilla version, the Shadow Dragon takes two of our players down, or sorry, takes the party down to 2 players, then kind of runs away, and you have to fight Golbez with those 2 characters only.
Yeah, the advantage that our runners have right now is that if anything, the kid Palom Quake Kid has the adamant armor on, so A will be immune to the hold effect, and B will be immune to the instant death effect as well. So there's a chance that if the Shadow Dragon decides to target Palom will survive and it'll use up one of the 3 attempts that the Shadow Dragon has to consume somebody here.
So Swimmy's doing some grinding. Both Swimmy and Penguin reset out of that Valvolus fight, so that one has tripped up everybody who has tried it so far.
Yeah, and getting Tella from the Dwarf Castle is not really going to help the cause with killing Valvolus either, so this is not exactly ideal.
Well, on the bright side for our runners, that will steer most of them toward ordeals, probably, which should be good for our ears, at least. Tella actually is fairly handy in these flags, only because he's a weak caster, and he gets it very early. He doesn't have to kind of manufacture that. Weak is actually useful in a lot of the grinds in this game, especially in these flag sets, given that you can wind up on the moon fighting these dragons that are very tough to hit or otherwise kill, but get a lot of experience, and you can use Tella just to weaken then one-shot them.
And it looks like both Invenerable and Scratch Dragon have carved a path through the Dwarf Castle and taken out Golbez, just like in the main plotline. Penguinator and Swimmy are probably not far behind, it looks like, as Penguinator is going to initiate this fight, see the free fight, and be pretty happy with that start.
Lobster hand. Lobster hand.
One of the things that the free enterprise community does actually pride itself on is some of the weird idiosyncratic bugs in the game, and one of them is the fact that hand will actually change color with the boss that is pulled in that location. So if you find Mist Dragon in that location, you get the best Golbez hand of them all. You get Mist Lobster hand.
So Invenerable scoping out the tower key. Looks like he's going to be grinding now. Probably in an attempt to play right for that immediately. Everybody else is either in shops or otherwise doing stuff we've already seen. So let's read a donation. All right, we got $100 from Groundflyer, who says, "Good luck to all the runners. I love free enterprise. Let's reach that goal of blindfolded FF7. Can't believe Natara offered that, but I'm very excited to see how that goes."
I heard Natara's been working really hard on the blindfold guard skip, so that'll be really interesting. That's a really fun part of the run for her, so, you should all donate.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful to watch somebody just skillfully navigate that guard skip without even having a visual cue. So we've got Scratch making the first play to the tower. The tower key item that they got from Dwarf Castle will open up another key item location here, so it's actually kind of a twofer. But pretty much everybody's going to go right for the top of the tower first, because you can see that one immediately. It doesn't trigger a cutscene or anything. Yep. Big question is going to be what it will be. There are a couple bosses here that can be very trolly, as you saw earlier with the Valvolus at Baron Throne spot. So there's a potential for something like that to happen here too.
Yeah, one of the big things about the top of the tower is that, as we are, in the underworld, things do get a little bit dicier as boss hit points go up, stats go up. The thing is that this is normally a two-part fight against Dr. Lugai in the vanilla game. But of course, since there's 3 targets in that fight, it's usually a little bit more straightforward. But here, it's all going to be mashed into one target, which is the Dark Elf. So this is going to actually have a much higher health total than you would probably expect at this point in the game.
But Dark Elf, somebody you definitely would like to see here. A character who you can kind of cheese out his second form. Tell us here too, so that helps. That's an instant weak. And somebody who's not going to do a whole lot of damage in this spot, particularly because all of his stuff is magical, and Dr. Lugay's magic attack, which we're using here, is very bad, actually.
Yeah, so this is going to work out beautifully for, keeping the progress going. So while Inveterable's getting caught up on levels here a little bit, Scratch Dragon is, forging ahead a little bit here in terms of progress.
Yeah, it's very interesting that most of our runners have actually grinded some levels on those eggs, given the Adamant and Sid early. I feel like people away from that, but obviously for marathon safety, definitely very good to have those levels. And you can see Dark Elf is like outright missing on some of his magic attacks on Palom here, so this fight will be pretty weak. Pretty simple to take care of. It's just a matter of putting on all the damage that you need to actually get through it.
Yep, when Dark Elf is through half of the health pool, Dark Elf will turn into the Dark Dragon, which is that interesting side property that Rivers was alluding to, that it drops the boss bit from the boss. So as you can see, me change, and now all of a sudden Dark Elf is vulnerable to pretty much everything except for instant death at this point.
Yeah, every boss in this game, every actual boss in this game has a boss bit that prevents status effects from hitting them. But because of the way the randomizer is created, sometimes you'll wind up with three dark imps in a boss spot, or you'll wind up with the officers in a boss spot, and you can stop them. You can use coffins on them. Basically, you can cheese them out however you want, and very helpful, very handy when you get a free fight like that. It's very nice to see actually what Invenerable's seeing right now, which is Bagan at the tower spot here, because Bagan is actually a very tough boss on some of the actual hard spots in the game, but here he is a total chump.
Yeah, this spot being the Dark Imp's spot normally has a total of 1,000 hit points between the 3 imps. So, seeing Bagan there is very nice. Bosses with multiple actions are very, very nasty a lot of the time, and Bagan is just the king of just, mixed damage and just laying down wall to counter your magic, and just has a lot of good abilities.
Yeah, Bagan can be a very tough fight when he can keep regenerating his hands. We got the pan here at the top of the tower. So all of our owners are going to want to collect that. The pan will actually give us access to 2 key item spots, one from the Sylphs and one from Yang's wife Sheila at the top of Fabul.
Yeah, at this point in time, what we're looking at is that if the pan pays out with potential progress, then we might have a little bit more divergence, as Invenerable still has the Twin Harp, while the rest of our runners have not seen the top of ordeals. But the potential for the Darkness Crystal to rip this seed open for everybody does exist still as well.
Yeah, and the Darkness Crystal is the item that opens up the moon. Kind of the way these flags work out is that there are, I believe, 7 key items that are available on the moon, key item spots, I should say. And when you get that, it really opens up the entire rest of the game for our runners to kind of decide how they want to play it.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a bit of a notorious coin toss, whether you go moon early or you decide to hold off and completely clear what you can clear on the Earth. But that's always a tough decision for our runners, and they will have to probably make it. It's a little bit safer on the V1 Forge the Crystal, since you need 2 items. So there's the chance that one item is on the Earth and one item is on the moon, so it's just a matter of efficient routing through both sets of locations.
One thing's for sure, I've never seen anybody get bitten doing moon first. That's for sure.
I mean, moon first is always right, except when it's not.
All right, so we're finally going to see the top of tower, or sorry, the tower key stuff here from Scratch Dragon. He'll be our first runner to collect both of the tower items here. And since he's got the pen, he's got kind of a bossless chain going here, so got a chance to accumulate a lot of key items in a hurry. If you've never played Free Enterprise before, if you get 10 key items in this game, you actually get a double experience bonus, and the spoon is a key item, so that will help out even though it doesn't actually do anything for Scratch right now. So he has, at this moment, 6 key items, since the past doesn't count. And once he gets to 10 key items, he will get double experience from fights, which is very nice and something that a lot of our runners want to target.
Yeah, it greatly accelerates your ability to push through the end game. A lot of runners, once they hit 10 key items, will stop what they're doing and hammer out some of their grind immediately. A lot of what this game comes down to when we talk about those efficient decisions is that's one of the decisions that people will make is, when do I get my levels? How much snap grinding do I want to do now to try and push through a harder location? Is it a risk, or is it, am I going to be rewarded for trying to get through without grinding? And so making those difficult decisions in the moment can be the difference between winning a race and not even placing, potentially.
Wow, we got the Luca key down at Scratch Dragon for the pan. So just the chains keep coming out of this tower play right now. We've already done the pan. We've got Luca key set up for a sealed cave entrance, and still at the top of Fabul 2, which can give us another key item potentially.
Yeah, without a doubt, options abound. The Baron key is incomplete at this point for the runners. The Luca key, of course, opens up a location down here that a lot of people don't love, which might be why Scratch Dragon is going for it first. He immediately beelines it to the sealed cave here. He's going to leave a save here. Why is he saving outside here?
Yeah, so he's saving outside here because he's just going to check the key item. And if the key item is garbage, he can save the walk out by just resetting. Actually does save a lot of time, so I actually like this play a lot. It's something that you prefer to see when you have closer to 10 key items, because if it is a key item that you're actually going to want, then you got to play it out no matter what. And if it's a key item that you're kind of iffy about, then you might reset it, and then you might not have 10 key items when you want to grind. So interesting play by Scratch. Hopefully he gets rewarded. I don't know anybody who's ever been rewarded from this particular spot, but I'm sure this is the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. And the nice thing about this spot is that you get to see the key item before you see the boss, which can be a little bit frustrating if the Mist Dragon is not yet, dead and buried. But since our runners already have taken out Mist Dragon and Baron Inn, that's not going to be a concern here today.
So one thing we should mention about the spoon key item itself, you can dart the spoon with edge. That's its main use. Does a lot of damage. Obviously, edge is the seed, as far as we know just yet. There's also a meme flag that we put in here called the spoon flag, which lets Edward equip the spoon and attack with the spoon. And he does a lot of damage with that. So it'd be interesting to see if anybody's actually going to get incentivized to pick up Edward now that they've got the spoon and the basic chain here.
Yeah, I mean, Edward is usually hamstrung by fairly low base statistics, but on the flip side of the coin, the spoon does have 255 attack.
Only a gung in the sealed cave, so that's an instant reset for Scratch Dragon. And I think he's lamenting the fact that he accidentally saved inside the cave. Did he actually, was that his rewrite, or? No, he's okay.
Nice. He saved to a different slot, thankfully. That is thankfully the standard strategy for that location. You save to slot 1, you make a different save in a different slot, so in case the boss is a bear, you can not have to walk all the way through the cave again if you foul up the boss and get killed.
So the Gunge spear is actually a pretty good spear, but everybody picked up the Dragoon spear, I think, which was the key in the key item down where Invenerable is now in Land of Some Monsters in the chest. So nobody's actually going to want that gung spear.
Yeah, it has no special properties or anything. It's just the spear that you get for Kane when he joins your party in vanilla at the end of the game. Invenerable's attempting to forge new ground, though he is down here in the land of summon monsters with Antlion, while Scratch Dragon got the Sand Ruby, it looks like, from Sheila for the second item.
That's right. So I believe I saw Cecil in that bed. Invenerable's the only person who has done ordeals at this point, so I don't know if that's going to be any sort of incentive for the rest of the runners, but you do know that Cecil's out there, and we don't have a weapon for him yet, right? So he's not like a big play, but could be interesting.
Nope, but one of the items that is assured to be in the key item pool, given these flags, is a Excalibur, Cecil's second best weapon. It's an exceptional sword, but the idea is that you have to take Cecil, you got to climb Mount Ordeals, you still have to find the Excalibur, which we haven't found yet, so, there's a lot to it at this point to make Cecil a viable.
So Invenerable kind of showing off just how good the admin armor is here. You see Antlion is just pounding Palom, but doing 1 damage a hit, so not really a big deal, and Invenerable is going to be able to fire 3 this guy into oblivion eventually. It's just going to take a little bit. Scratch Dragon are first to kind of play in the Hook Cave here, and I believe he's checking the character slot now. Could be somebody big.
Yeah, probably looking for an upgrade over Tella right now. Since he's required to keep Rydia, he's going to be hanging on to Rydia, but Tella is, great in some ways. Again, weak caster, does learn a lot of spells once you climb ordeals, but why have Tella when you can instead have Fus?
Well, those are 2 big finds. Okay, so we got the Excalibur for Invenerable, who resets out of that. Wants no part of Cecil, interesting. And we've got Fu down here in the cave for Scratch Dragon. Fusoya is probably the best overall character you can find in this randomizer. He has both black magic and white magic, comes with a lot of HP, comes with good initial equips. You don't have to do anything to make him good at all. And at this point, I believe Scratch probably has him pretty close to full power. We have a flag called the Fusoya Challenge flag, which means you need to kill a certain number of bosses to recover 100 HP and 3 of Fusoya's spells. I think I saw he was at 1400, so he's not that far from finishing the challenge.
Yeah, this is likely to drive him towards Mount Ordeals and the 3 bosses therein, plus the Twin Harp, so would not be surprised to see him head that way. Except he's going to prove me a liar and go back underground instead.
Take that. And again, you're going to see Palom kind of doing a carry here against Mylon Z with Fire 3 and the admin armor. So Invenerable knows that he's just not going to die in this fight. It's just going to be a matter of how long it takes between Sid and Palom to take down the fairly easy boss in the spot and pick up another key item location.
Yeah, options on the Earth are starting to wear thin a little bit here. We've seen nearly everything except for Twin Harp and the end of Baron Castle at this point. This is sort of where our runners start getting a little bit, restless potentially as they try and, blaze trails and, start to sort of get, narrowed down into the same location.
And there's our Darkness Crystal. Okay, so Mylon Z at the Vanilla Leviathan spot holds progress for everybody. So far, we only know of Baron Castle. I think Invenerable has been the only one who hasn't actually touched that at all. So it'll be interesting to see if he plays for that or what he wants to do with this darkness now, if he wants to push it.
Yeah, Swimmy is here at Mount Ordeals. Penguinator's also going to add on the Twin Harp now as well, alongside those 3 boss kills for the Fusoya, where we know where he is at this point in time if our runners go and get.
Yeah, a lot of the Ordeals is actually a play you don't see that often, but a lot of what this seat has given us has been kind of subtly nudging them like, hey, what do you think about that Ordeals, huh? How about a Fusoya? How about Tella? How about Cecil and an Excalibur hanging out in the underworld? Maybe you want to try that Ordeals, actually.
Yeah, in the early game, Ordeals takes a while, and even in the late game, when your party's a little bit overpowered to the actual challenge that Ordeals is going to lay out, you don't necessarily want to be here either, wasting time with the 3 boss fights, even if you can, mow them down pretty quickly, because it is still 3 boss fights.
Yep, and now we've got an Invenerable about to be disappointed by what's in the sealed cave. Scratch Dragon about to find an Excalibur here on the Antlion spot in Summon Monsters. Penguin probably about to make that same play, actually. And Swimmy is about to find that Twin Harp. So nobody's done the Twin Harp yet. Nobody has done the Baron Castle, or completed the Baron Castle, I should say, given that Valvolus is there gatekeeping it. And those are the two key item spots and the Twin Harp that we know about. I'm sorry, that we don't know about.
Yeah, as you can see, though, our runners are making pretty quick work of this seed here. You have to consider how many checks they've gone through at this point to be, 48 minutes into this run. Even with some of the difficulties they've seen, there's been no major missteps from any other runners, no, major real, falls on their faces or anything. Because, again, top 9 runners, they are all excellent runners. And plus, they're all from very varied, varied levels of speedrunning experience. Going from Penguinator, one of the most well-known No 64 runners, down to runners like Invenerable and Scratch Dragon, who just joined Free Enterprise this year and have, literally zero experience speedrunning FF4. So it's always really interesting to see how this community has expanded and grown, and how we've just included people of all speedrunning stripes.
Yeah, our Discord is now at 2,300 strong, so definitely very popular randomizer. Kind of snuck up even on me. I didn't think it would be this popular, but very happy to see it. Very glad to be an inclusive community for everybody. And since everybody's doing some recheck key item locations here, it looks like we've got a $50 donation from Penguinator, who's donating towards his own No 64 incentive to do the Zeromus fight with a white menu. Interesting. Can't say that I approve. Going to be hard for him, but should be good to watch at least.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting, making sure that he's got Rose's white spell in the right place, or everything's set up correct.
So Invenerable actually did something interesting there, and he reset out of the top of Fabul. That does save time if you're not keeping the key item, and since it was a Sand Ruby, nobody really cares about the Sand Ruby in this seed. Invenerable has already passed up Excalibur, so he knows he's not taking Cecil. He's just gonna go right to the moon.
Yeah, this also means that Invenerable's taking good care of counting his key items, because he is at exactly 10. So there's no need for an 11th that doesn't serve any purpose in his inventory.
That's right. So he has double experience. Forget who is exactly in his party, if he has Tella or Fu, but he has somebody to cast weak. So he setting up for a pretty good dragon grind here if he actually runs into anybody tough, which is kind of the way you want to charge the moon, is if you have somebody who can dragon grind with 10 key items, and that way if you just hit a brick wall, you actually have a way out of it.
Yeah, it'll also be a good way to get some bulk on Porum. If she's going to be the white mage of record for the Zeromus fight, she doesn't gain as much health as Rosa does. So, he's going to want all that extra health. Looks like Scratch Dragon's decided to pass up that Excalibur as well, it looks like.
Yeah, Cecil, pretty unpopular here with a lot of the runners. They do have the AA flag on, which means that he is not a forced agility anchor. And to kind of explain that, basically in the vanilla FF4 game, Cecil's agility is kind of the main driving force of all agility. Everybody plays off of his agility, and it's kind of a system called relative agility, where if Edge is, agility 35 and Cecil's agility 14, then Edge is a lot faster than Cecil. So he gets a lot more turns. And with the AA flag on, it's just whoever's in the middle slot that we're running off of. So not incredibly game breaking or anything, but something that our runners may want to consider as far as having Cecil in their party and using Excalibur, is that he's not a forced autoscale here.
Yeah, and you can see that a lot of our runners are leaving Tella in the middle of their party formation, or Sid in the middle of their party formation, because they're both very slow.
All right, and Venerable is doing a quick grind on the dragons here. This is what we've been setting up for and talking about. So kind of the way this goes safely, there are ways to do it a little bit more risky, is to hourglass these dragons and have tele-life them, or sorry, have tele-weak them. And then we're going to see use of the life glitch, where somebody will attack and somebody else will queue up a life potion. By life potioning up an enemy that has no vitality stat, just kind of the way it is in this game, we will res the monster, then it will immediately die. So we'll add extra experience to the pool. So Invenerable's going to do this, and for the price of 2 dragons, basically, he will get the experience of 3.
Yeah, again, when we talk about optimizations, this is really important. But of course, speaking of forging new ground here, Swimmy Leone has actually snuck in with that Twin Heart down to Cave Magnus, and so let's listen for some music.
All right, that'll be the FF6 battle theme. So what will Swimmy come across here? There's a lot that can actually change things because of how our runners have kind of avoided this spot in general.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I think Swimmy also snuck over and grabbed Paladin Cecil while we weren't looking either, so he's going to be very happy with that. And he finds that the boss in this location is the Wyvern.
Hello! So Swimmy looking for those star bells. I don't think he sees them in his inventory. Oh, there he is. Okay, he's got 5. So Wyvern's, if you've never seen this game, Wyvern's opening attack is a mega nuke, which will pretty much utterly devastate the party in most spots. Here, probably no exception, but kind of the strategy here is let that mega nuke hit some walls and bounce back and take care of the Wyvern.
Yeah, normally this spot is notorious for having a very high magic resistance, but, the Mega Nuke just has so much base damage that even reflecting it in this spot is just going to do, absurd amounts of damage.
Oh, we got the Earth Crystal here. Vanilla location, that is $10 more from Dem. And this will be probably another charge for Swimmy if he wants to go down there.
Yeah, the chain grows ever longer, it looks like, for our runners.
So we see Invenerable doing some grinding here. He actually knows, he can see the boss in Cave Bahamut here, knows that it is Pain Man, as our as our community calls him, the Dark Knight Cecil boss. He knows that he has to withstand a lot of HP damage, but otherwise he'll be okay. So I think at this point, just trying to get Sid enough to a level where he can survive.
Yeah, all he's got to be able to do is take 3 hits and he'll be A-okay, just like this for the vanilla game.
And Swimmy is pressing on with this Earth Crystal chain. This is the kind of play that you can make and it can win you a seed. It's not something for the faint of heart, but it takes a lot of time to do this dungeon actually. But this is a play that if there is something big behind here, could win him a seed.
So it looks like Penguinator has taken the adamant armor off of Palom. What does that mean for his party?
So when you take the adamant armor off of a character, that character becomes ultra weak to the elements, fire, ice, lightning. So if you happen to see like a fire 1 spell on that poor Palom, he's going to take 4 times damage. So he'll, what would have been 53 will be like 200 something. And obviously when you get to tougher bosses that have actual good spells, it makes him very vulnerable to getting one shot.
Yeah, and there are some enemies in the game that actually have elemental percentage damage as well. It's not likely that we're going to see many of them, like we've already seen Ogopogo, for example, but, if it has a percentage damage effect that's an elemental effect, it's just effectively an instant kill at that.
So we're having some problems with Swimmy's stream. Hopefully the tech wizards at RPGLB will get right on that. Did Invenerable fight that fight? I don't think he did. I think he just bailed. Is he going to save outside?
Yeah, he's probably going to save outside and then run all the way back in. He ground his party to 50. So, it's likely that he is just going to say, let me make sure that I get my rest in first so I don't lose my grind. Scratch Dragon's our second runner to summon the Lunar Whale, but decides to not yet breach the moon. Instead, it looks like he's going to climb Mount Ordeals and get the Twin Harp here. Penguinator will very shortly be getting his hands on his Darkness Crystal here as he wraps up Mylan Z, it looks like, or at least gets this fight going. But with all the extra levels and Paladin Cecil with Adamant Armor, Berserked, and an Excalibur just carving a trail through Mylan at this point.
Yeah, Giesel, as we said, people were ignoring him, but Giesel is going to do some real damage here. And Invenerable taking on Pain Man. And you're going to see the damage that this Pain Man unleashes on this poor party. It's going to be very high.
Interestingly enough, at about 1,300, even 1,300 a shot, Sid will survive this for sure. So he is sitting pretty now.
Yeah, this is the grinding he had to do to actually win this fight. So Darkness Crystal does those 3 dark waves and then gives you his speech, just like in the vanilla game. If you happen to run into him in a spot early, sometimes you're quicker to kill him. But in this case, very tough location. Invenerable just doing what he can to survive the fight. Rewarded with an Avenger for his troubles. Invenerable does not have anybody who can equip that right now, so he is out.
Yeah, I mean, the check is done, the time is used, but the grind is complete. Invenerable does not really need more levels at this point in time. He's going to get them from doing the Lunar Bosses more likely than not.
So the Avenger is actually one of the best weapons in the game because it auto-casts Berserk. But given the fact he has nobody who can equip it, obviously, that makes a lot of sense to keep it. And he's got nukes. He's all set up for what he needs to do here. While he's checking this character, let me read some donations real quick. We've got Jory Sneff donating $100 to changing all names to Arby's before the Z fight. Can't say I'm a fan, but it's a worthy donation. Thank you very much for that. We see Yang popping up here. So another person who cannot use the Avenger. We've got Detain putting his $50 donation toward the 100% Battletoads extra run. Also, Porum as best white mage, fight me. I will fight you. And from Nitsguy1, we've got $100 from Nitsguy1, long-time watcher, first-time donator. This goes to Demarine's FF1 Rando Run, all black mages incentive.
I don't know why I offered that one up. People seem to love that.
I just can't believe nobody met the Barkley 100% run. It's killing me inside, boys. But appreciate that. Appreciate you guys donating. Appreciate you playing along with me here.
All right, so Scratch Dragon is going to get the Twin Harp here. Penguinator's about to get some disappointment and have to reset out of the Gungeoner Lance. And Invenerable finds Plague here at the first Lunar Boss spot, which is normally in the vanilla game Pale.
So as you can see from the leveling, Palom with the Adamant and Nuke does a fair amount of damage here. Plague, definitely somebody you can cheese early on of kind of reflect strats to get the count on him. Also somebody who you can kamikaze people to death to exploit how count will only, it'll keep using count over and over again if somebody's doesn't have the status. However, maybe this fight will go so fast that it doesn't actually matter because of how good that nuke is.
Yeah, but in the realm of better safe than dead, has Tella off himself anyways, and then is going to res Tella up to get that counter reset here. You don't want to try and push it when you don't necessarily have the DPS because, well, instant death is, a surefire way to lose your party immediately.
All right, that's nuke. That will be the third nuke. I think that should take care of this spot, given the extra damage, right? It's pretty close. Yeah, okay. So that's down for Inven. Tella picking up 14 levels. Hot takes coming through here. And key item will be the Stardust Rod, which is the best rod in the game. Gives a plus 15 to Wisdom, so good for Palom, but not the item we were looking for.
No, but he's going to take the opportunity to upgrade Black Mage rods here, which of course, going to be super useful for working through the balance of the bosses down here. Penguinator, passing on the Twin Harp here, even with it in hand, and decides to looks like he's going to go ahead and breach the moon as well right now. So we're going to have three runners on a chase through the moon here, looking for the Adamant and the Legend Sword, because we haven't found anything yet at this point.
Yeah, the entire seed is wide open right now. So it's really a shame that we haven't seen what Swimming actually will get there from this chain, since he had those technical issues. But pretty soon we'll find our way here one way or the other. And Venerable's going down to the very bottom of Lunar Core, where there will be no less than 4 different fights with 5 potential key item spots. So that's open. The interesting thing actually is that after the Earth Crystal, we've already checked everything but Baron, really. So, I mean, it can't be anywhere else. There can't be like a chain leading here at this point. It's got to be something where either like one's here, one's in Baron, one's here, one's in Earth Crystal, or potentially both of them will be right here.
I mean, potentially both of them could be in Baron. We haven't seen the Odin spot either.
Oh, also true. And Venerable getting to the save point here. Very well leveled. This party shouldn't have major difficulties unless it runs into something that it cannot kill with magic. And we have already seen Bagan, so that's one of the big ones out of the way.
Yeah, I know. It looks like Scratch Dragon is beelining the bottom as well for the item density. A lot of this comes down to probability, right? You're taking a guess on where the most possible key items are, and beelining those locations. Some runners go by gut feeling and say, hey, I think it's going to be here, so I'm going to go here. But, the math usually plays out pretty well. Invenerable, though, finds one of the nastier bosses in the game here in CPU.
Yeah, actually kind of a spot where you might want Meteor to play out here. I think I've seen all of our runners pick up a Soma drop, so with Tella in the party, actually a rare case where Tella could be useful here.
Yeah, the big thing is that with the levels that Invenerable has, Palom also knows Meteo at this point.
So Penguin is our first runner to actually keep Yang. So what kind of how that plays out actually is when you start with a character that has low levels in this game, we have kind of experience modifiers to catch people up. So if Yang survives this fight, not only is he going to get the major experience, he's also going to get an extra multiplier on top of that, so he could get I think up to 6 times the experience, and it kind of depends on your party's median level whether he gets the full thing or not. But definitely something that Penguin's going to be trying to do here is what we call slingshot Yang from his little level 10 start to a real beast.
Yeah, while on Invenerable's screen, Invenerable's actually executed one of the most interesting strategies to deal with this particular boss. One of the things is that CPU, while it looks like it's floating, actually isn't, and is immune to being direct cast float. But by putting a wall up on one of his characters, he's reflected the float status onto the attacker orb, so Quakes will never hit it. So he's actually going to use Quake to push through the wall on CPU, and make this fight look like a joke, honestly.
That's right. One of the very interesting strategies we popped up with this in this randomizer. A couple of really interesting things that popped up, but that was one of the great ones. And you see Quake taking out that CPU no problems, and so Inven even though he didn't have any magic that in theory would actually work here in an interesting way, able to use that float spell to get through.
Yeah, there's a reason why Invenerable finished 6th in the league last year. You know, he is a very impressive runner with access to all the tactics. So,
and we've got a pink tail for his trouble here. We've yet to see anything on the moon, though there are still a couple locations left. And Octomam is somebody who can be pretty brutal in the wrong spot. However, like all these kind of phase transition change bosses, very vulnerable to slow, and very vulnerable to, in this case for this Octo, vulnerable to Lit 3. So, Invenerable actually choosing to just go with nukes here because it's faster, but if he had a party that was less optimal, could probably still take this out.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, on other screens right now, we've got Scratch Dragon grinding it out against the Gold Dragons, using those Sirens, just like Invenerable had done earlier. So, just trying to work up the levels. You can get this encounter in a lot of different locations down here, and, you know, again, seasoned runners will know all of those possibilities so that they can optimize their grind based upon where they are in a run.
Yeah, and the other thing to note here is that Invenerable is not using the white spell on Octomam because Octomam is actually absorbing the holy element. So that would not only do no damage, it would also heal Octomam. So quick kill here on the Octomam for Invenerable, picking up 200k experience. So his Porum even will be very well leveled for the Z fight, and gets the Legend Sword. Okay, so that is one of the key items that we need to complete the game. Also picking up the package, which for our runner's purposes in this case is pretty pointless, but still not the key item. All right, and Penguin doing the same fight, so he will catch up to Invenerable, even though hasn't really completed quite as much of the game as Inven, and but they will be level on key items you need to finish. Scratch Dragon looks like he is also making the exact same play, so we're about to get 2 Octomam fights at the same time. Penguin in a more precarious position, though, given his Giesel, and not a lot of actual damage besides that. Whereas Scratch is well leveled and has a lot of mages, so probably will be easier fight for him.
Yeah, the decision to not grind at this point for Penguinator, he's got some confidence that he can work through these bosses and these locations, as good runners do. But of course, on the flip side of the coin, you know, that makes the boss fights go slower, and we're thinking about efficiency. Going slow is not efficient.
So, Invenerable finding Kainato here. This is a nasty boss anywhere in a tough spot, because his wave does HP damage, and obviously the more HP Kainato has, the more of a jerk this boss can be. But Invenerable putting out a lot of damage early on, and he survived the first big wave, so he should be okay here. Yep.
Already died, but no.
Already got the hiding inside the shell, so this will be a quick kill.
Yeah, Tella died, but no one cares about that. He went with the old all-out offense, even casting white with Porum just to speed the process up. So, you know, makes really quick work of the turtle. Gets a life staff for his troubles.
Yeah, not what they wanted to see. So, unless the vanilla wyvern spot has a adamant, they will have to go back and take care of the Baron or Twin Harp side quests. All of our runners having not done Twin Harp, except for Swimmy, who unfortunately ran into some tech problems and had to forfeit.
Yeah, that's you know, really difficult to see. So, you know, we don't love when that happens. You know, occasional technical issues do come up.
Yeah, that's the stream life. That's the life we chose. So Envin beelining up to the wyvern spot. That will be his last check. Probably at this point, I would say he's about 20 minutes ahead of everybody else. just as far as having done most of the moon, having Penguin and Scratch headline down to the bottom to do these fights first. So he's got a lead there. He's got a lead on levels. And now he's got a free fight.
Yeah, I mean, Wyvern is technically the easiest spot on the moon in regards to bosses. It's got some of the lowest health and very low magic damage, because Wyvern, of course, opens up with Mega Nuke, and all of Mega Nuke's damage is wrapped up into the actual nuke and not the location. But, you know, sometimes it's just nice to get a breather, honestly.
So the King Queen Ebon fight is based on a story fight in the game, which is why we call it free. It's really hard to lose this fight, and once King Ebon dies, Queen Ebon will actually automatically off herself if you don't kill her quick enough. So, and then kind of swagging on her for the sake of it, but doesn't even need to do that at this point. Just kind of wait out her death, and he will get the last key item spot on the moon that we know about. That will be go mode, folks.
It was the moon all along. Who knew?
Wow. Well, it was good for Swimmy, at least, that the rabbit trail that he was going to go down did not lead anywhere important. So Enven has everything that he needs to beat the seed now. He just needs to go back down and forge the crystal in the what's his name? The Cockholes, the blacksmith, his place. And then he'll be able to beat the game.
Yeah, and as you can see here, you know, our runners will likely full clear the moon, so it's not to say that Penguinator and Scratch Dragon are, you know, terribly far behind, but it's likely that they're going to do this fight and then do the Ogopogo spot down below, and then finally come back to the Wyvern spot. So it looks like while Invenerable does have a nice lead from his good, efficient checks, it looks like Penguinator and Scratch Dragon are likely to come down to the wire here.
All right, so while this is happening, read some donations. We've got $125 from Frith, who's putting that toward Pink Tail Percent. I can't tell you if that's going to happen at this point. I think everybody's going to skip that, but good luck with that donation. We've got an anonymous that is donating $5, but he's only got a 20. Can he get change in singles, please? Do we keep singles, Nem?
No.
No. So we've got $100 from Detain for Demon Chocobo percent. He says, all hail the Demon Chocobo. Could be a boss fight. You never know here. That is in the pool. And from Conkers, we've got $25 towards Soxcam for my After Years run. Let me tell you, I've been working on that one real hard. I think this is the year that we might actually complete it on stream.
And Rivers, what's the estimate for After Years now?
9:30.
Oof, well, you know, it'll be a good one, I'm sure. After Years is a fantastic game, and there's nothing wrong with it.
The stream has never been more full of lies. Actually, I think who runs that game? Oh, I know her name. Nikki Noel has run that game and beat it in, I think, 6 hours, I want to say. So if you actually want a real estimate, that's probably what it would be.
Is there an early Final Fantasy game that Nikki doesn't run on a portable system?
That would be a no.
All right, and as noted before, it looks like Scratch and Penguinator are taking the standard route through the moon, so they're both headed down to the Ogopogo spot. But of course, Invenerable is headed now using that pass, as we said before, to go fight Zeromus. So Rivers, what time?
I believe it's time to see whose butt we're going to kick today. As you know, or as we explained earlier in this video, there is a random sprite here. You're not fighting Zeromus, you're fighting somebody who might not be Zeromus. Could be the Pink Tail. Could be our Demon Chocobo that we've talked about already. Could be one of, I think, 360 plus different sprites. So we will see what Inven runs up against here.
Absolutely. It's my second favorite Easter egg in the randomizer for sure.
Yeah, I hope somebody has the good sense to check package after they get their .dones in.
Of course, for tactical purposes, Invenerable did make sure to grab that second adamant armor before going here, so, looks like he's going to go for a really high-powered mage reflex strategy here to make short work of them.
Alright, so this will probably be a reflex strats fight, so I want to go over that before this starts. You're going to see a lot of Porum, Palum, and Duridia bouncing spells off walls of the Starveil. The reason we're doing this is to avoid resetting Zeromus's HP, which happens at 45,000 damage or above. And our random sprite is Pokemiss. That is a Earthbound reference there. One of the annoying characters. I kind of want to say final boss. Kind of is, kind of isn't. But congrats to Daniel RGT for recapturing that world record and glitchless. Anyway, you're going to see a lot of reflected spells here. The general gist of this, as I said, is you don't want to refill his HP, which he does after 45,000 damage, which puts him back up to like 61,000, I think is what he's at. So you're going to see a lot of reflected spells because reflected spells don't trigger counter scripts in this game, and Zeromus happens to have that counter script where he actually puts all of his HP back, and we don't want to see that. We would rather just kill him quickly.
Yeah, and with those adamant armors, that extra Stardust Rod, Invenerable's putting out the damage with the mages here, so should hopefully be able to burn through the health fairly swiftly.
Yeah, this will not be a very difficult fight at all. And you see Scratch Dragon using Indra on Kainatsu. Sometimes you have to use some very creative spells to get over the Gathering the Water to count the the lightning counter for that. And Indra is one of them I don't see very often, but always cool to see it in speedruns. So Penguin is about to hit go mode here once he gets his free adamant ore. And Venerable probably, I would say, less than 2 minutes from being done at this point with Scratch Dragon on Penguin's heels.
Yeah, looks like Scratch did have a bit of an issue with Fusoya's mana there, but does push through to get his light staff from this location. So he should be, headed shortly towards
Alright, that's one more nuke for Invenerable, and that will be time on Invenerable's stream. Finishing with a 120.34 via our Discord bot. GG to Invenerable.
Yeah,
and,
one of them. Go ahead.
And we'll have Penguinator and Go mode here very shortly with Scratch Dragon right behind.
Yeah, for purposes of the submission here, you'll notice that this took Invenerable nearly full cleared every location. The only thing he missed was the Twin Harp to Earth Crystal chain and the two bosses in Barren Castle in an hour 20 and 34 seconds. Keeping in mind that when we ran this at AGDQ, the run took near 2 hours and even took Rivers. What was your time on that one? 138, I believe?
Yeah, 138.41.
Right. So the big thing is that this wasn't a hook seed. This was a magma key start. To be fair, that is one of the sources of volatility in the potential time that this run will take. But our runners are good enough to be able to overcome that volatility. Even if it does take an extra 15, 16, 17 minutes to push through to the underground through the hook. They're good enough to still finish these seeds in really good order between 2 hours and, we're looking at a worst case scenario of 2:15 potentially.
Yeah, especially when given an adamant armor and for Boole, I don't think you'll see any problems with that. All right, so we got Penguin grinding now that he's in go mode. Scratch Dragon about to be in go mode himself, so this actually could be a very close finish here between the two of them.
Yeah, Scratch had already done his grind.
Go ahead. Yeah, I think Penguin's about to leave after this fight here. He'll have... Well, no, he wants Nukon ready. That's what he's doing. Okay. So one more for him.
Yeah, when you have a multiple mage strategy, you just want to make sure all of your mages have their top tier magic before you initiate the Zeromus fight, because damage output is so important.
All right, we got some time for donations here while our players are getting set to go into go mode and pick up their crystal. So we've got 1337 from Tifa's Revenge, who wants Scratch Dragon to put this toward Trogdor the Burninator as a Zeromus sprite. Obviously, a little late for that, given we've already seen the Zeromus sprite, but probably for Scratch Dragon's other FE run, since this game will definitely get 2 submissions in or something. We've got a $2,000 donation from Random Hughes, who says he's donating toward Bad Taste Palette on Scala's FFL2 run. Hail Demon Chocobo, Scala. So, sucks for Scala, but... and then we've got $50 from Frith to replace the Dark Elf with Snark Elf. That is not funny. Dark Elf is a hero.
I mean, if you tune into the FF1 randomizer run, you'll see Astos the Dark Elf die as well. I guarantee it.
So Scratch is picking up the second admin armor here, it looks like. And he has a slight edge here. If Penguin doesn't pick up the pink tail admin armor here, he actually might leap into something.
Yeah, this is going to absolutely come down to seconds, most likely here.
Yeah, this is a very tight race. Oh no, he is going to pick up the second admin armor. So you can see how close our runners are. They're going to high five right here, coming out of the admin grotto. Both of them will go right to forge their crystals, and then both of them will go to the Zeromus fight via the pass. So this is something that could definitely come down to execution. This finish order right here.
Yeah, runners, don't forget to forge your crystal in V1. It's something that's happened to me more than I'd care to admit, and is a great way to lose a bunch of time when you get up to Zeromus, open up the menu to get the crystal, and go, I got nothing.
They can't hear you now, Dem, but I appreciate that, and I'm sending those vibes toward them as well. Looks like all of our runners have actually heard you, though, so we are getting 2 actual crystals here.
Yeah, with not much more than a 15-second difference between the 2 runners here. So again, it is going to be, Scratch Dragon with the slight lead, but it, even just checking this shop here is just, potentially time lost, but both of them decide to check anyway.
Yep. So Scratch Dragon probably coming out of here of what, like, I'm going to count from the airship goes up. So 125.55 to, I want to say it's going to be 10 seconds here. Yeah, 126.05. So this is a 10-second lead for Scratch as they scramble toward the finish. This is going to be a great one.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that might come down to damage rolls at this point in time. It's going to be incredibly tight. Scratch Dragon doing some last-second re-equipping here. So is Penguinator slapping on that extra adamant armor. Going to probably put a Rod on Rydia here for the damage. One last save. Scratch remembered that silk webs were here, grabs a set of silks for himself as well, and they are dashing in to turn in this pass and get going.
So the interesting thing about this fight actually is that Scratch will, I believe it's Scratch Penguin has Cecil. So Penguin might be doing hybrid strats here, whereas Scratch will be probably doing pure reflect with his mage party. So it'll be interesting to see which one comes out faster here. This is going to come down not only to execution, but also to the strategies that they have picked to end this game. Remember, anybody could have picked up Cecil. He was there for anybody with the Sand Ruby. So very interesting to see here.
Yeah, Zerkers are usually a little bit safer, but Penguin looks like he's in a bit of a hybrid strat location here with 2 major fighters and 3 mages, while Scratch Dragon has 4 pure casters here. Running the full reflect line. So it's not going to be much of a difference here. It's coming down to about, I think, a 7-second start difference.
Yeah, this is insane. This is a really good race right now. And hopefully we're getting the donations that will hype up whatever happens here. So this is a good time right now. This is great. We're gonna see 2 more Pokies on screen, probably 5 or 6 seconds apart, as Dem said, and yeah, we're gonna see whose strat wins the day here. All right, so to kind of go over the differences between what they're going to be doing, Scratch obviously is going to be reflecting spells off Star Veils, as Inven did. Penguin will have the Star Veil stuff going too, but he will also be doing damage with Yang and Giesel via the Bacchus Wines if he's indeed going for the hybrid strat. Otherwise, they're both going to do reflect, and there won't be much difference in time.
Yeah, Penguinator is going to need to keep good track of the health total on Zeromus here. Because meleeing with Cecil and Yang can be very potent at this point in the game. Do good damage, but you'll also end up losing. That you might accidentally trip that counter heal if you melee at the wrong.
Yeah, he's got to count damage for sure, and it looks like he is going for a reflect kill. So Giesel is going to take a swing here, and he's probably calculated out that he's not going to do damage to tip Pokemus at this point. So to do 61k in damage off reflected spells is usually anywhere from 7 to 8 spells, depending on your damage rolls. Both of our players here, I think, have Nuke and Adamant on a couple other characters, so they should be fine. But just to keep in mind, you want to hit 61k, and most Nuke spells do anywhere from probably 6 at the worst, except for this Fu, which is kind of underleveled on magic power versus 9999. And you see Porm doing whites as well.
Yeah, it looks like Scratch has run into a bit of trouble. His reflect target was Rydia, but got to the second Big Bang and lost Rydia here. So it's going to have to reset. Going to need to get a Star Veil up now so that he can get his offense going again.
Yeah, and Penguin's still counting damage, so Penguin is in a better spot right now at this moment, but it's still something where anything can happen. All right, I think he is counted properly here. And there you go. Penguinator, second place. They Discord bot time of 1:30:44. GG to him. Scratch probably coming in right on his heels here, assuming he's able to keep everybody alive.
Yeah, it looks like he might be just one spell away, which, will do the job. So he's going to try and keep Palom alive through this Big Bang and just have Palom possibly go it alone here at the
All right, and there we go. Third place to Scratch Dragon with a time of 1:31:28. GG to all our runners. Love that Penguinator Scratch Dragon finish there. That was really compelling, good stuff.
Yeah, that was absolutely stellar to see. It just took one missed heal on Rydia there to, just not healing your wall target to sort of, it's not that things fell apart. You recovered it nicely with the wall on Palom and pushing back through, but it's a difference of you had a marginal edge going in, and you end up losing a little bit of time there, and that's actually all that it took at the end.
Yep, that's right. So good stuff from our community as always. Please make sure to check us out. Our website is ff4fe.com. In there, you'll find links to the Discord, you'll find the randomizer itself, and you'll find plenty of guides written by some schmuck.
Yeah, I heard that they're really good guides, though. The person who wrote them put a lot of love and a lot of care into them, so, thanks, Rivers.
Yeah, yet he's still a schmuck. But hey, this 8-hour after years run that I'm doing afterwards should be great. Really looking forward to it. Nobody will fall asleep during it, I'm sure. That's one thing that I feel deep in my heart.
I'm looking forward to being on the back couch with 2 energy drinks, my Switch, a book, some puzzles.
Rubik's Cube.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I know I can make it through. Oh yeah, my incentive for that run is to sing the Degrassi theme song. So if you guys want to meet that one, let's go for it.
Yeah, but of course, again, just check us out at dff4fe.com. Join the Discord. Again, one of the best, most helpful communities in randomizers. If nothing else, there's guides, but also there's a bunch of great people who just want to play the game and help other people get into the game as well. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, we have a very inclusive community. We love to welcome newcomers. We love to help you out. We would love to see 4 new faces here next year running the same game. So, I mean, we're all about merit. We're all about giving people a chance. And please come check out our stuff. Check out the randomizer. Have fun with it. Run it however you want. It has a lot of weird and fun modes. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun, Dem.
Yeah, absolutely. If this run gets in, you'll get more of the 2 of us, as well as, we're going to have Zyrak on with us, as well as Kabahi. So, 2 more excellent runners of this game, and again, of, pretty varied speedrunning, experience, which is always just really neat.
Yeah, the more eyes we have on this run, the better it will be. And obviously, you really want to see those 4 commentators up there, because you want to make sure you don't miss anything, and that will be very crucial. But we'll definitely explain and go through everything as best we can, and help everybody get acquainted to these runs. And I know it's 4 people; it's kind of hard to keep track of, but we have a lot of fun with it, and we hope you had a lot of fun watching it.
Absolutely. I guess we should wrap this thing up then, shouldn't we?
Yeah, do we have somebody we can throw it to, like a wild Scala kitty or something?
I believe that Dragon Dark is actually finishing this seat up right now, so I think we're going to end up bouncing it over to him.
Oh, that's a good idea too. Yeah, Dragon Dark is our first backup runner for this run, so please check him out. I believe it's twitch.tv Dragon Dark STA. So give him a shout. He'll probably be tracking if nobody drops, but otherwise, yeah. Thanks everybody so much for watching.